You know, there's a story in the Bible that I've always found incredibly inspiring. It's the story of a man named Abraham, someone who was called by God to do extraordinary things. Let me tell you about it. Abraham wasn't always called Abraham. He started out as Abram, living a peaceful life in a city called Ur, which was in Mesopotamia. He had a good life with his wife, Sarai, and his family. But one day, something happened that would change his life forever. God spoke to Abram. Can you imagine? Out of nowhere, God told him to leave everything behind, his country, his people, and even his father's household, to go to a land that God would show him. Now, think about that for a moment. You're living a comfortable life, everything's going well, and then you're asked to leave it all for something unknown. But that's exactly what Abram did. He didn't hesitate. He gathered Sarai, his nephew Lot, and all their possessions, and they just went, trusting that God would guide them, even though they had no idea where they were going. As Abram traveled, God appeared to him again. This time, God made a covenant with him, a powerful promise. God told Abram to look up at the night sky, filled with countless stars, and said, "So shall your descendants be." Abram was already old and didn't have any children, but he believed God. He trusted that somehow, God would make it happen. Years went by, and still no child. Abram and Sarai were getting older, and I'm sure doubts crept in, but Abram kept his faith. Then, God did something remarkable. He changed Abram's name to Abraham, which means, father of many nations, and Sarai's name to Sarah, which means, princess. It was God's way of reminding them of his promise. And then, finally, when Abraham was 100 years old and Sarah was 90, the impossible happened. Sarah gave birth to a son, and they named him Isaac, which means, laughter. You see, Sarah had laughed when she first heard she'd have a child in her old age. But God had the last laugh, didn't he? Isaac was the child of promise, the beginning of the great nation God had spoken of. But Abraham's journey wasn't over. His faith was about to be tested in a way that I can hardly imagine. God told Abraham to take Isaac, his beloved son, to the region of Moriah and sacrifice him as a burnt offering. Can you imagine the agony Abraham must have felt? But, once again, Abraham obeyed. He took Isaac, and together they made the journey to Moriah. When they got there, Abraham built an altar and prepared to sacrifice Isaac. And just as he raised the knife, an angel of the Lord called out to him, stopping him. The angel said, "Do not lay a hand on the boy. Now I know that you fear God, because you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me." Abraham looked up and saw a ram caught in a thicket, which he sacrificed instead of Isaac. He named that place, "The Lord will provide." And indeed, God had provided. Abraham's faith and obedience didn't just earn him a blessing, it became the foundation of something much bigger. He became the father of Isaac, the grandfather of Jacob, and the great-grandfather of the 12 tribes of Israel. Through Abraham's lineage, God's promise to bless all nations was fulfilled. Today, Abraham is honored as the father of faith in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. His story is a powerful reminder of what it means to truly trust in God, even when the path ahead is uncertain. Abraham didn't just believe in God's promises, he lived them out, every step of the way. So whenever you feel unsure of what's ahead, remember Abraham. His journey wasn't easy, but his faith never wavered. And because of that, God used him to change the world. Thank you for letting me share this story with you. I hope it inspires you too. Trust in God's plan for your life, just as Abraham did.